Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English in Advance. I'm Jessica, and it's wonderful to have you here with me today. If this is your first time joining our community, I want to let you know that we are dedicated to helping you master the English language. We release new lessons every single day, designed to accelerate your journey to fluency. So if you're serious about improving your English, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we are embarking on a special journey together, a masterclass designed to elevate your English skills far beyond the C1 level. This session isn't just about listening, it's about transforming the very way you think, speak, and interact in English. We will dive deep into the real strategies, the subtle expressions, and the confident speaking habits that will help you sound not just fluent, but truly natural and advanced. Throughout our time together, we will explore practical, real-life conversation examples. We will see how advanced vocabulary works in its natural context, and we will engage in practice drills that will challenge you, pushing you to think and respond with the speed and grace of a native speaker. My promise to you is that by the end of this lesson, you will possess a clear, powerful set of tools that you can begin using immediately in your daily life. You'll learn how to express your thoughts and feelings with more ease, more elegance, and more accuracy than ever before. Before we begin this exciting journey, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. And very importantly, make sure you turn on the bell icon for notifications. By doing so, you'll never miss one of our helpful English learning episodes, and you'll stay on the path to consistent improvement. Now, find a comfortable spot, perhaps grab a pen and some paper, and let's begin our advanced English fluency journey together. When people think about advanced English, their minds often jump to complicated, long words or very formal, strict grammar rules. But I want to share a little secret with you. True advanced English is not about trying to sound like a textbook. It's not about just throwing in difficult vocabulary to impress someone. The real heart of advanced communication is about something much more subtle. It's about the smoothness of your speech, the accuracy of your word choices, and the appropriateness of your language for any given situation. It's about the art of choosing your words carefully, depending on who you're talking to and where you are. It's about the tone you use, and the speed at which you can think and respond without hesitation. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're talking to a close friend after a long week. You might say something simple and direct like, "I'm a bit tired today." It's casual, it's honest, and it's perfect for that situation. But now, imagine you are in a professional meeting at work. You've had back-to-back discussions all day, and your manager asks how you're doing. In this professional setting, saying, "I'm a bit tired" might sound a little unprofessional or weak. An advanced speaker would adjust their language. They might say, "I'm feeling slightly fatigued after a long day of meetings." Do you see the difference? The core meaning is almost the same. You feel tired, but the word choice completely changes the tone. Fatigued sounds more formal and professional, and it perfectly fits the situation. This ability to shift your language is a cornerstone of advanced English. Let's try a quick practice together right now so you can feel this shift for yourself. I will give you a simple sentence, and I want you to repeat the more advanced version after me. Let's start with a common situation where you don't like an idea. The simple version is, "I don't like this idea." It's very direct, and in some situations, it might even sound a little harsh. Now, here is the more advanced, more diplomatic version. I'm not entirely convinced this is the best approach. Listen to how that sounds. It's softer, it's more polite, and it opens the door for more discussion instead of shutting it down. It shows you've thought about the idea, even if you don't agree. Now let's practice saying it. Repeat after me, trying to match my thoughtful tone. I'm not entirely convinced this is the best approach. Excellent. Let's try another one. This is something we all say. The simple version, I don't know. Now, an advanced speaker, especially in a professional or formal context, might want to sound a little more thoughtful. Here is the advanced version. I'm not certain at the moment. This phrase implies that you might find out later, and it sounds much more professional than a simple, I don't know. Now, you try. Repeat after me. I'm not certain at the moment. Very good. This is exactly the kind of subtle but powerful shift we will be practicing over and over again in our lesson today. Advanced English also requires you to think beyond the individual words and focus on the overall flow of your sentences. It's like music. It's not just about the notes, it's about how they connect to create a beautiful melody. Native speakers naturally link their ideas together using connectors, transitions, and small conversational phrases that make their speech sound smooth and natural. For example, imagine someone asks you a question. Instead of just answering with a simple yes or no, you can build a bridge to a more engaging conversation. You might say something like, "Yes, I see what you mean, but let me explain my perspective." This little phrase does so much more than just answer the question. It shows you are listening, it validates the other person's point, and it signals that you are about to add more information, keeping the conversation alive and interesting. Let's do a short conversational shadowing exercise to practice this. Shadowing means you repeat what I say almost immediately after me, trying to copy my pronunciation, rhythm, and tone exactly. Imagine you are in a discussion with a coworker, and they say, "I think we should cancel the meeting." A basic and perhaps confrontational reply could be, "No, let's not cancel it." But an advanced speaker would aim for a more collaborative and diplomatic response. Here's an advanced reply. "I understand your point, but perhaps we could reschedule instead of canceling altogether." Notice how this response first shows that you heard and understood them. "I understand your point." Then it offers a gentle alternative. "Perhaps we could reschedule." Finally, it provides a reason, instead of canceling altogether. This is a complete, thoughtful, and professional response. Now let's practice saying it together. Say it with me slowly. "I understand your point, but perhaps we could reschedule, instead of canceling altogether." Now try to say it a little faster, matching my natural rhythm. "I understand your point, but perhaps we could reschedule instead of canceling altogether." Fantastic. Another incredibly important skill for reaching an advanced level of English is the ability to paraphrase. Paraphrasing simply means expressing the same idea in a different way, using different words. This skill is like a superpower for English learners. It is extremely useful when you can't remember a specific word or when you want to avoid repeating yourself and sound more fluent and creative. Let's practice this right now. I will give you a sentence and I want you to think about how you could say it in a different way. Here is the sentence. "She was very happy about the news." How could we rephrase that? An advanced version could be, she was absolutely delighted when she heard the news. Using delighted instead of very happy is a great vocabulary upgrade. Another creative way to say it could be, the news filled her with joy. This version is more descriptive and paints a picture. Now it's your turn to think. How would you paraphrase, she was very happy about the news? Take a moment. There are so many possibilities. Paraphrasing is also a critical tool for active listening. When you are in a conversation and you want to show the other person that you truly understand what they are saying, you can paraphrase their point back to them. For example, imagine a colleague tells you, I don't think we have enough time to finish this project. Instead of just nodding, you could reply by saying, so you're saying we might miss the deadline? This does two things. First, it confirms that you understood their concern correctly. Second, it shows them that you are engaged and paying close attention. This skill helps you avoid misunderstandings and keeps the conversation flowing smoothly. Now let's work on a vocabulary upgrade drill. We're going to take some common, everyday words and replace them with more advanced alternatives. The key here is not to sound unnatural or like you just swallowed a dictionary. The advanced words should fit the context perfectly. Are you ready? Let's start with a very common word, big. Instead of always saying big, you have some wonderful advanced options. For example, if you're talking about a building, you could say it's enormous. If you're talking about a change or an impact, you could say it's substantial. If you're talking about an amount of money, you could say it's a considerable sum. Now let's take the opposite, small. Advanced options could be tiny for something physically small, minute for a very small detail, or insignificant if you mean something is not important. Let's try one more. The word help. Instead of help, you can use more formal or specific words like assist, support, or aid. Now let's put this into practice. I will say a simple sentence and then you will say it back to me using the advanced word. Here's the simple sentence. Can you help me with this? Now, using assist, it becomes, could you assist me with this? Your turn. Say it out loud. Could you assist me with this? Excellent. This simple switch from help to assist can make you sound more formal and professional. When you're practicing advanced English, you also need to focus very carefully on your tone and your use of politeness strategies. In the English language, especially in American culture, how you say something can often be just as important, or even more important than what you say. For instance, the command, close the window, is perfectly clear, but it can sound a bit direct or even rude depending on the context and your tone of voice. An advanced speaker would soften this request to make it more polite. They might say, would you mind closing the window? This small change transforms a command into a polite request. It makes the listener feel respected, not ordered around. Let's do a quick role-play exercise to practice this. Imagine you are in a meeting at work and you need to disagree with an idea that your colleague, Michael, has just presented. Instead of saying something blunt like, "You're wrong," which would immediately create tension, you could use a more diplomatic phrase. For example, you could start by acknowledging his point. I see where you're coming from, but I have a different perspective. This shows you listen to him, but you have another idea to offer. Another great option is, That's an interesting point, but perhaps we could consider another approach. This phrasing validates his contribution before gently redirecting the conversation. Now, let's practice saying these together. Focus on keeping your tone calm and respectful, not argumentative. Repeat after me. I see where you're coming from, but I have a different perspective. Good. Now the other one. That's an interesting point, but perhaps we could consider another approach. Using these phrases will make you a much more effective and respected communicator in any professional environment. Finally, for this section, I want you to remember that advanced English is not a race. It is not about rushing your speech or speaking as fast as you can. Many learners mistakenly believe that speaking quickly makes them sound more advanced. In reality, speaking too fast can make you harder to understand and can make you seem nervous. True fluency is about speaking with clarity, confidence, and precision. Native speakers use pauses to their advantage. They pause to breathe, to think, and to emphasize important words. They use rhythm to make their message clear and engaging. In this lesson, we will practice speaking at a natural, comfortable pace with just the right amount of pauses to let our words have an impact. This deliberate pacing is a sign of confidence and mastery of the language. One of the biggest leaps you can make towards advanced English fluency is to practice thinking directly in English without translating from your native language in your head. I know this can be very challenging at first, but it is absolutely essential. Why? Because the process of translation slows you down. It creates a delay between when you hear something and when you respond. Advanced speakers are able to react and respond quickly and spontaneously in conversations, and that's because the words are forming directly in English in their minds. To train your brain for this, you can start with a simple but powerful exercise. Start by describing the world around you in English silently in your own mind as you see it. For example, if you are walking to work and you see a busy street, you can think to yourself, "The street is crowded with people rushing to their destinations. The traffic lights are changing from red to green. I can hear the sound of car horns and distant sirens." If you see a child eating ice cream in a park, you might think, "That little boy looks delighted as he takes each bite of his chocolate ice cream cone. He has a little bit of it on his nose." The more you practice this kind of internal narration, this constant observation in English, the easier and more automatic it will become to form advanced, descriptive sentences naturally when you need to speak. Let's try this together right now. I will give you a basic thought in simple English, and I want you to try and upgrade it into something more descriptive and advanced. Let's start with a very basic thought. It's a nice day. How can we make that more advanced? We could add more details. For example, it's a pleasantly warm day with a soft breeze moving through the trees. This sentence paints a much clearer picture for the listener. Let's try another one. The basic thought is, she is tired. How can we upgrade this? Instead of just stating the fact, we can describe what we see. An advanced version could be, she looks completely drained after such a long day at work. The phrase completely drained is much more powerful and evocative than just tired. Now let's practice saying these advanced versions. Repeat them after me and try to match the rhythm and flow of my speech. It's a pleasantly warm day with a soft breeze moving through the trees. Good. And the next one. She looks completely drained after such a long day at work. Excellent. Another essential skill for sounding truly advanced in English is mastering idiomatic expressions. Idioms are those colorful phrases whose meanings cannot be understood just by looking at the individual words. You have to know the meaning of the expression as a whole. They are a huge part of everyday English conversation. For example, the idiom break the ice has nothing to do with breaking actual frozen ice. It means to start a conversation or do something to make people who have just met feel more relaxed and comfortable with each other. Using idioms correctly shows a deep understanding of the language and culture. Let's practice using some common idioms in full sentences. Please repeat each sentence after me. The first one uses break the ice. I told a joke to break the ice at the start of the meeting. The next idiom is sweeten the deal, which means to add something extra to an offer to make it more attractive. Repeat after me. We need something to sweeten the deal before the client agrees. And one more. The idiom hit the nail on the head means to describe something perfectly or to get something exactly right. Let's practice. After weeks of hard work, they finally hit the nail on the head with their proposal. Using these kinds of idioms will make your English sound much more colorful, authentic, and natural. Now let's put these idioms into a short role-play scenario. Imagine you are talking to a friend about starting a new business project. Your friend says to you, "I'm nervous about meeting the new team members for the first time." You want to reassure your friend. Using the idiom, you could say, "Don't worry, I'll help break the ice." Now imagine your friend says, "I don't think they'll accept our first offer. It's too low." You could suggest a strategy using our other idiom. Maybe we can sweeten the deal with a small discount. This kind of active practice, putting the idioms into a real-life context, helps you remember them and recall them more easily when you actually need them in a real conversation. Advanced English also involves being able to shift your level of formality depending on the setting. This is called code switching or adjusting your register. In casual conversations with friends and family, using contractions like I'm, don't, and can't is completely natural and expected. However, in very formal writing, like an academic paper or a business proposal, or in a formal speech, you might choose to use the full forms like I am, do not, and cannot for greater clarity and emphasis. Being able to move between these styles is a sign of an advanced speaker. Let's practice both styles now. Repeat the informal version and then the formal version after me, and notice the change in feeling and tone. Informal, I'm happy to help. Formal, I am pleased to assist you. Let's do another. Informal, we don't have enough time. Formal, we do not have sufficient time. Try repeating each version, really feeling the difference in formality. You should also pay very close attention to collocations. Collocations are words that naturally and frequently go together in English. Native speakers use them all the time without even thinking about it. For example, we say, make a decision, not do a decision. We talk about heavy rain, not strong rain. Learning these natural word partnerships is one of the fastest ways to make your English sound more like a native speaker. Using the wrong collocation can be a clear sign that someone is not a native speaker. Let's practice upgrading some simple sentences with more natural and powerful collocations. The basic sentence is, she gave a speech. The word gave is okay, but a much stronger and more natural collocation is deliver a speech. So the advanced version is, she delivered a powerful speech. Let's try another, basic. I'm very hungry. An extremely common and natural way to say this in English is, I'm absolutely starving. Let's do one more. Basic, the company made changes. A more advanced and professional collocation would be, the company implemented significant changes. Now, let's practice saying these advanced versions. Repeat each one after me. She delivered a powerful speech. I'm absolutely starving. The company implemented significant changes. Wonderful. Another powerful way to push your English to a truly advanced level is to learn how to use softeners and hedging language. These are words and phrases that make your statements less direct, less absolute, and therefore more polite. This is incredibly important in English-speaking cultures, particularly in professional or academic settings, for maintaining diplomacy and showing respect for other people's opinions. For example, instead of saying something very direct and potentially confrontational like, "This is wrong," you could soften it by saying, "I'm not sure this is entirely correct." Instead of giving a command like, "You should do this," you could soften it into a suggestion. Perhaps you might consider doing this. These small changes make a huge difference. They make your English sound more sophisticated, thoughtful, and respectful. Let's practice this skill. I will give you a direct sentence, and your job is to soften it using the phrases we've learned. Here's the direct sentence. I can't help you with that. How can we make that sound more polite and less abrupt? A softened version would be, I'm afraid I won't be able to assist you with that at this time. Now let's try another. The direct statement. You are late. This can sound very accusatory. A softened version could be, it seems you've arrived a little later than expected. Try repeating these softened versions after me, paying close attention to the polite and gentle tone. I'm afraid I won't be able to assist you with that at this time. It seems you've arrived a little later than expected. Great job! Shadowing, which we tried earlier, is another powerful tool for developing advanced fluency. Let's do a slightly longer one now. In this exercise, you listen to me and repeat each phrase immediately after I say it, almost at the same time. The goal is to copy my exact pronunciation, intonation, rhythm, and pauses. It's like you are my echo. Are you ready? Let's begin the paragraph. Over the past few years, I've noticed how small adjustments in the way I speak can make a big difference in how I'm understood. By choosing the right words and pausing at the right moments, I can make my message clearer and more persuasive. This is the kind of skill we are developing in this masterclass. Excellent work. Doing this regularly with podcasts, audiobooks, or movies can dramatically improve your natural rhythm and flow. You should also work on constantly upgrading your adjectives and adverbs. English has a rich vocabulary, and moving beyond simple words like very is a clear sign of an advanced speaker. Instead of saying, very good, you could use more precise and powerful words like excellent, outstanding, or superb. Instead of very bad, you could say terrible, awful, or dreadful. Instead of very fast, you could say rapidly or swiftly. Let's make a little game out of it. I will say a sentence using the word very, and I want you to replace it with a stronger, more advanced word. Here's the sentence. The view is very beautiful. Your upgrade might be, the view is breathtaking, or the view is stunning. Let's try another. He runs very fast. Your upgrade could be, he runs incredibly swiftly. There are so many options. The key is to build your vocabulary so you have these stronger words ready when you need them. Finally, please remember that advanced fluency is not just about speaking. It is equally, if not more, about listening. It's about listening deeply and actively so that you can understand the nuances and respond naturally and appropriately. Make it a habit to practice listening to native English speakers in different contexts. Listen to podcasts, interviews, TV shows, and films. Pay close attention to how the speakers use pauses for effect, how they emphasize certain words to convey meaning, and the subtle vocabulary choices they make. When you hear a phrase or an expression that you like, one that sounds particularly natural or elegant, write it down. Then, practice saying it yourself. Say it over and over again until it feels comfortable and natural for you to use. This process of active listening and imitation is one of the most effective ways to internalize the patterns of advanced English. One of the strongest and most subtle markers of advanced English is your ability to use nuance. Nuance is that delicate, subtle layer of meaning that changes how your words are received by the listener. It's the difference between black and white, and all the beautiful shades of gray in between. Nuance is what allows a native speaker to choose a phrase like, "I'd rather not," instead of the more direct, "I don't want to." Or to say, "I see your point," instead of simply, "You're right." These small, seemingly insignificant differences carry a great deal of emotional weight. They can make you sound more diplomatic in a business negotiation, more professional when giving feedback, or warmer and more empathetic in a conversation with a friend, all depending on your intention. Let's practice this delicate art of nuance. I will give you a very direct sentence, and we will work together to rephrase it with more nuance, making it more tactful. Here is the direct command. Stop talking. In most situations, this would be considered very rude. An advanced speaker would soften this significantly. They might say, "Could we perhaps continue this conversation a little later?" Another example, the direct statement, "I don't like this." This can sound very blunt. To add nuance, you could say, "It's not quite to my taste." This expresses your preference without criticizing the thing itself. Let's practice saying these nuanced phrases. Repeat each one slowly after me, and really pay attention to how they feel softer and more tactful. Could we perhaps continue this conversation a little later? And the other, "It's not quite to my taste." Mastering this skill will elevate your communication immensely. Advanced fluency also involves the art of extending conversations naturally. Many English learners make the mistake of giving short, simple answers to questions. This can make a conversation feel flat and difficult to continue. It can even make you seem uninterested. Instead, a great strategy is to give your answer and then add a follow-up comment or question to pass the conversational ball back to the other person. For example, if someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" instead of just saying, "It was good," which ends the conversation right there, you could say, "It was really good, thanks. I went hiking with some friends, and the weather was absolutely perfect. How about yours?" Do you see how that opens the door for the other person to respond? It keeps the dialogue alive and makes you sound like a much more engaging and interested person. Let's try a few of these together. I will ask you a question. I want you to first give a short answer and then add something extra to extend the conversation. Here is the question. Have you seen that new movie that just came out? A short answer would be, yes, I have. Now, let's extend it. An extended answer could be, yes, I have. The storyline was so gripping and the acting was just brilliant. Have you had a chance to watch it yet? This gives your opinion and asks a question back, inviting the other person to share their thoughts. This is the secret to great conversations. Another essential part of speaking advanced English is being able to tell a story. When you tell a story well, you connect with your listener on a deeper level and keep them engaged and interested in what you have to say. A good story in English, even a very short one, usually has a clear beginning to set the scene, a sequence of events in the middle, and a satisfying ending or conclusion. It doesn't have to be a dramatic story. Even simple everyday events can become interesting stories. Let's do a quick storytelling practice. I will tell you a very short story about my weekend, and I want you to repeat it after me, focusing on the flow and the descriptive language. Ready? Last Saturday, I decided to explore a small cafe I had never been to before. As soon as I stepped inside, the wonderful smell of freshly baked bread filled the air. I ordered a cappuccino, and the barista smiled warmly as she handed it to me. It turned out to be one of the best cups of coffee I've ever had in my life. Now, I want you to try telling that same story in your own words. You can change some of the details. Maybe you ordered a tea instead of a coffee. Maybe the cafe smelled like chocolate instead of bread. The goal is to practice keeping the narrative flow and using descriptive details. Go ahead, try telling your version of the story out loud. To move towards advanced fluency, you should also focus on using a variety of connectors to link your ideas smoothly and logically. Words and phrases like, however, therefore, on the other hand, as a result, and meanwhile act like bridges between your sentences, making your speech flow more logically and coherently. Let's look at a simple example. Here's the basic version with two separate ideas. I studied hard. I passed the exam. Now, let's connect them to show the relationship. The advanced version would be, I studied hard, and as a result, I passed the exam. Let's try another. The basic version. I wanted to go for a walk. It started raining. To show the contrast, the advanced version would be, I wanted to go for a walk. However, it started raining. Let's practice saying these connected sentences. Repeat them after me, and focus on the rhythm created by the connectors. I studied hard, and as a result, I passed the exam. I wanted to go for a walk. However, it started raining. Using these connectors makes your English sound much more sophisticated. Another simple but effective strategy to sound more advanced is to avoid overusing filler words. I'm talking about words like like, and you know. While it's completely natural to pause when you speak, replacing those filler sounds with short, silent pauses or with transitional phrases will make you sound much more confident and articulate. Instead of saying, just take a quiet breath. Instead of constantly saying, you know, you can use a more thoughtful phrase like, let's see. What I mean is, or, well, in moderation. Let's try an example. Here is a basic sentence filled with fillers. I think we should, wait until tomorrow. Now, let's remove the fillers and just use a slight pause. The advanced version is, I think we should wait until tomorrow. Notice how removing the fillers makes the sentence sound stronger and more decisive. Let's also work on active vocabulary expansion. Advanced speakers don't just know more words, they know when and how to use them with precision. For example, instead of always saying, get better, which is very general, you could say improve, progress, or enhance. Depending on the specific context, instead of the simple verb fix, you might use repair for a machine, restore for a painting, or resolve for a problem. Let's do a quick drill to practice this. I will say a common sentence, and you will upgrade the verb. The first sentence is, we need to fix this problem. The upgraded, more professional version is, we need to resolve this issue. So let's try another. I want to get better at cooking. The advanced version is, I want to improve my cooking skills. One more. She's making her English better every day. The advanced version is, she's enhancing her English skills day by day. Repeat each one of these advanced sentences after me. We need to resolve this issue. I want to improve my cooking skills. She's enhancing her English skills day by day. Excellent. Another very important social skill is learning how to interrupt someone politely. This is something you often need to do in meetings, group discussions, or even lively social gatherings. A direct interruption like, wait, I want to say something, can sound quite rude. An advanced speaker would use a softening phrase. They might say, sorry to interrupt, but may I add something here? Or, if I could just jump in for a moment, I think. These phrases allow you to participate actively in the conversation without sounding impolite or aggressive. Let's practice saying these polite interruptions. Repeat after me. Sorry to interrupt, but may I share a quick thought? Ça va? If I could just jump in for a second, I'd like to mention, using these shows respect for the person who is speaking while still allowing you to contribute your ideas. Now, let's practice summarizing, which is another advanced communication skill. If a friend or colleague tells you a long, detailed story, you can show that you understood and keep the conversation moving forward by summarizing their main points. For example, if they talk for 2 minutes about how stressful their workday was, describing every single task, you could show your understanding by saying, so, it sounds like your schedule has been completely overwhelming lately. This simple act of summarizing shows that you listened carefully and understood their main feeling or message. Let's try one. I will give you a short paragraph, and I want you to summarize it in one sentence. Here's the paragraph. I've been working late every single night this week trying to finish a big project. My boss keeps adding new tasks to my plate, and I honestly haven't had more than 5 hours of sleep any night. How would you summarize that? A good summary would be, so you've been overloaded with work and you're not getting enough rest. Your turn to try. Summarize that paragraph in your own words. Finally, as you practice all of these skills, please remember that reaching advanced fluency is not something that happens overnight. It is not a destination you arrive at, but rather a continuous journey. It's the result of consistent daily practice, careful and active listening, and a willingness to step out of your comfort zone and experiment with the language. Every single time you speak English, you have a new opportunity to refine your pronunciation, to expand your vocabulary, and to improve your confidence. Think of it like exercising a muscle at the gym. The more you use it, the stronger and more natural it becomes. So be patient with yourself. Celebrate your progress and enjoy the process. One of the most powerful and often overlooked ways to build your advanced English fluency is to truly master the art of emphasis. Emphasis in English isn't just about raising your voice or speaking more loudly. It's a much more surgical tool. It's about deciding which specific words in a sentence deserve more weight, more focus, so that your listener understands your point with absolute clarity. The way you stress certain words can completely change the underlying meaning of your sentence, even if the words themselves stay exactly the same. Let me show you a classic example. Consider this simple sentence. I didn't say she stole the money. It seems straightforward, right? But watch what happens when we change the emphasis. Let's try this together. I want you to repeat the sentence after me, each time emphasizing a different word and feeling how the meaning shifts. First, let's emphasize the word I. Say it with me. I didn't say she stole the money. What does that imply? It implies that someone else said it, but not me. You are defending yourself. Now, let's emphasize the word didn't. Repeat after me. I didn't say she stole the money. This is a direct denial. It means you are stating clearly that you never said those words. It's a strong contradiction. Let's move the emphasis to say, I didn't say she stole the money. This is more subtle. It could imply that you wrote it down or you hinted at it, but you didn't say it out loud. How about we emphasize she? I didn't say she stole the money. This implies that you said someone else stole the money, not her. You are pointing the blame elsewhere. And what if we emphasize stole? I didn't say she stole the money. This implies that you think she did something else with the money. Maybe she borrowed it or lost it, but she didn't steal it. Finally, let's emphasize the last word, money. I didn't say she stole the money. This suggests that you think she stole something else, perhaps the jewelry or the documents, but not the money. Isn't that incredible? One single sentence can have at least 6 different meanings, all depending on that one simple tool, emphasis. This is why listening carefully is just as important as speaking. Advanced English speakers use this tool constantly and instinctively. Let's practice a few more of these so you can get a better feel for it. Repeat after me, emphasizing the bolded word. Are you going to the party? This implies surprise or doubt. Now this one. Are you going to the party? This focuses on the person, perhaps because someone else isn't going. And finally, are you going to the party? This implies they might be going somewhere else, but you want to know specifically about the party. Mastering this will make your speaking much more dynamic and precise. Advanced English also means using rich, descriptive language to paint a picture in your listener's mind. It's the difference between a black and white sketch and a full-color painting. Instead of just stating facts, you want to evoke feelings and create images. For instance, instead of saying, I had dinner, you could bring the experience to life. You might say, I enjoyed a comforting bowl of homemade pasta topped with fresh basil and perfectly melted cheese. Can you almost taste it? Instead of the simple statement, it was raining, you could create a mood. The rain poured down in silver sheets, tapping softly and rhythmically against the window pane. Let's try this as a practice. I will give you a very basic, boring sentence, and I want you to transform it into a more vivid, descriptive version. Here is the basic sentence. I went for a walk. How could you make that more interesting? An advanced version could be, I strolled through the quiet, tree-lined streets, breathing in the cool, crisp evening air. Let's try another one. Basic sentence. She laughed. This tells us what she did, but not how. An advanced, descriptive version could be, she burst into a warm, genuine laugh that completely lit up her face. Now it's your turn. Take the sentence. The room was messy, and try to describe it in a more vivid way. What did you see? What was on the floor? What was on the desk? Painting that picture is the key. Another essential aspect of advanced speaking is mastering your intonation. Intonation is the music of the language, the rise and fall of your voice as you speak. The right intonation adds emotion and clarity to your words, while the wrong intonation can make you sound flat, uninterested, or even confusing. For example, when you ask a yes or no question in English, your voice usually rises at the end, like this. Are you coming? Can you hear my voice go up? But when you make a simple statement, your voice typically falls slightly at the end, like this. I'm coming. CT. Hear the difference. Now let's practice intonation in a short conversation. I want you to repeat these lines after me, paying very close attention to the rise and fall of my voice. The question with rising intonation. Would you like to join us for dinner? And now the enthusiastic response, with a rise and then a fall. I'd love to join you for dinner. Notice how the rise and fall of your tone can completely change the feel of the sentence. It can convey excitement, sincerity, or doubt. Let's also work on giving more detailed and engaging answers. When someone asks a simple question like, "How are you?" the most common, almost automatic reply is, "I'm fine, thanks." But this doesn't really open up a conversation. An advanced speaker might use this as an opportunity to share a little more and keep the conversation alive. For example, "I'm doing really well, thanks." I've been working on an exciting new project at work, and while it's been challenging, it's also been incredibly rewarding. This gives the other person something to ask about. Try responding to my questions now with more than just a one-word or one-sentence answer. Here is the question. What did you do last weekend? Instead of just, "I relaxed," you could say, "I spent Saturday visiting a local art exhibition, which was fascinating, and on Sunday I met a few friends for a lovely brunch by the river." That kind of detailed answer makes you a much more interesting person to talk to. A very important part of advanced English communication is maintaining conversational balance. This means finding the sweet spot between dominating the conversation by talking too much and disappearing from it by saying too little. Advanced speakers are skilled at keeping this balance. One of the best ways to do this is by asking thoughtful follow-up questions to show that you are genuinely interested in what the other person is saying. If someone tells you, "I went to Paris last month for vacation," a simple response like, "Oh, nice," is a conversation killer. A much better, more engaging response would be a follow-up question like, "That sounds absolutely amazing. What was your favorite part of the trip?" This keeps the conversational flow going and makes your partner feel valued and heard. Let's practice this right now. I will give you a statement, and I want you to think of a good follow-up question to ask me. Here is the statement. I've just started learning how to play the guitar. What could you ask? A great follow-up question could be, that's fantastic. What kind of songs are you hoping to learn? Or, what made you decide to pick up the guitar? Go ahead, ask your question out loud. We should also practice achieving clarity in our pronunciation without over-exaggerating every sound. Advanced English isn't about sounding like a robot or being overly precise to the point of sounding unnatural. It's about finding a clear, natural rhythm. Many learners try so hard to pronounce every single letter that their speech becomes slow and stilted. Instead, focus on the overall flow and the key sounds. Let's try shadowing these sentences with me. We will start slowly and then say them a little faster. Ready? Clarity comes from consistent practice, not from rushing your words. Now a bit faster. Clarity comes from consistent practice, not from rushing your words. Let's try another. Every word I speak carries my meaning to the listener. Pausing gives my words space to be understood. Excellent. Another great skill for advanced fluency is what we call reformulating questions. This is a clever technique where you repeat a question in your own words right before you answer it. For example, if someone asks you, how do you typically deal with stress? You might begin your answer by saying, how do I deal with stress? Well, that's a great question. I usually find that taking long walks in nature and listening to calming music really helps me. This simple technique does two things. It gives you an extra moment to think and structure your answer, and it makes your response feel more polished, thoughtful, and conversational. Let's try one. Here is the question. What's your favorite way to spend a holiday? You might begin your answer by saying, my favorite way to spend a holiday. I would have to say I love exploring new cities and tasting all the local food. You try it now. I'll ask the question and you start your answer by reformulating it. What is the most important quality in a good friend? Go ahead. Advanced English also benefits greatly from the use of metaphor and analogy. These are comparisons that can make your speech more creative, memorable, and easier to understand, especially when you are talking about complex or abstract ideas. For example, instead of just saying, learning English is a long and difficult process, you could use an analogy to make it more relatable. You might say, learning English is like planting a garden. It takes a lot of patience, daily care, and time before you can see the beautiful results. This creates a powerful mental image for your listener. Let's try to create a few of these together. I will give you a topic, and I want you to try and make a metaphor or analogy for it. The topic is improving your speaking skills. What is that like? You might say, improving your speaking skills is like training for a marathon. You have to build up your strength and stamina over time with consistent practice. Now you think of one for the topic, teamwork. What is teamwork like? Finally, I want to emphasize that confidence is a huge part of fluency. You can have an excellent vocabulary and perfect grammar, but if you speak too quietly or hesitantly, your message will lose its impact. Confidence comes from practice. It comes from stepping outside your comfort zone and taking risks. And most importantly, it comes from accepting that making mistakes is a natural and necessary part of the learning process. Every single advanced English speaker you admire was once a beginner who made countless mistakes. The only difference between them and someone who gave up is that they kept going. So as we continue to move forward in this masterclass, I want you to speak boldly, repeat the exercises often, and truly enjoy the process of refining your English. One of the most effective ways to sound truly advanced and confident in English is to use what I like to call precision phrases, DET. These are short, efficient expressions that communicate your meaning clearly and elegantly, without any extra, unnecessary words. These are not just simple vocabulary upgrades, they are small sentence patterns that, when used correctly, can make you sound incredibly sharp, articulate, and confident. For example, instead of saying something a bit clumsy like, "I need more time to think about this," you could use the more polished precision phrase, "Let me reflect on this for a moment." Instead of a blunt statement like, "That's not true," you could say, "I'm afraid that's not entirely accurate." These kinds of phrases give you much more control over your tone and help you create a very professional and composed impression. Let's practice this together right now. I will say the basic, simple version, and I want you to repeat the advanced precision phrase after me. Let's start with a very common one. The basic version, "I don't know." The precision phrase, "I'm not entirely certain." Repeat that. "I'm not entirely certain." Excellent. Let's try another. The basic version, "I don't agree." The more diplomatic precision phrase is, "I see it differently." Say that with me. "I see it differently." Using these phrases will immediately elevate the quality of your spoken English. Advanced English also involves developing your ability to give detailed explanations, not just short, simple replies. For example, if someone asks you, "Why do you enjoy reading?" a basic answer could be, "Because it's relaxing." That's fine, but it doesn't tell us much. An advanced answer would provide more depth and detail. It might be something like, "It's relaxing, certainly, but it also allows me to learn about new perspectives, escape into entirely different worlds, and it helps me improve my vocabulary at the same time." Do you see how adding just 2 or 3 supporting details makes your answer sound so much richer, more thoughtful, and more engaging? Let's practice this skill. I will give you a question, and I want you to try and answer it with more than one reason. Here is the question. Why do you like living in your city? Instead of just saying, "It's nice," you could say, "I really enjoy living here because, for one, it's a very safe city. On top of that, the community is incredibly friendly, and there are also plenty of beautiful parks and interesting cultural activities to explore." Try to answer that question for your own city now, out loud, giving at least 3 different reasons. Another incredibly important skill for an advanced speaker is handling misunderstandings politely and effectively in conversations. Sometimes people will mishear you or misinterpret what you meant. It's a natural part of communication. Instead of getting frustrated or bluntly saying, "That's not what I said," you can use polite phrases to correct the misunderstanding gracefully. You could say, "Let me clarify what I meant," or, "I think there might have been a slight misunderstanding. What I was trying to say is..." This approach not only corrects the misunderstanding, but also keeps the conversation comfortable and respectful for everyone involved. Try repeating these useful phrases after me, focusing on a calm and helpful tone. Let me clarify what I meant. I think there might have been a misunderstanding. What I was trying to say is, having these phrases ready will make you feel much more confident in tricky conversational moments. We should also talk about discourse markers. These are the small words and phrases that help to structure your speech and signal your attitude. Words like, well, actually, frankly, in fact, to be honest, and on the whole, act like signposts for your listener, guiding them through your thoughts. For example, saying, well, I think we could try a different approach, sounds much softer and more considered than jumping straight to, we could try a different approach. The well prepares the listener for a thoughtful comment. Let's do a quick drill. I will give you a sentence, and I want you to add a discourse marker to the beginning of it. Here is the sentence. I believe we should start early. You won't. You could add, well, to make it, well, I believe we should start early. Let's try another. The sentence is, I like this idea. To add some enthusiasm, you could say, actually, I really like this idea. These small words add a layer of personality and flow to your speech. Another hallmark of advanced English is your ability to use a variety of sentence structures. This means avoiding the trap of using the same simple sentence structure over and over again. You should try to mix short, impactful sentences with longer, more detailed ones. This creates a much more engaging rhythm for your listener. For example, you might start with a short, clear sentence to grab attention. The meeting went very well. Then you can follow it with a longer, more complex sentence that provides the details. We discuss several important updates, including the new project launch, the necessary budget adjustments, and the new team assignments for the next quarter. The short sentence at the beginning acts like a headline, and the longer sentence provides the story. Let's practice this. I will give you a basic, short answer, and I want you to expand on it by adding a second, longer sentence with more details. Here's the basic answer. The trip was fun. Now, let's expand it. The trip was fun. We visited 3 different cities, tried all kinds of incredible local dishes, and met some absolutely wonderful people along the way. Now you try. Expand this sentence. The movie was good. Go ahead, add a longer sentence with more details. You should also become comfortable with changing your register. This means moving smoothly between formal and informal speech. As we discussed earlier, advanced speakers do this naturally and automatically depending on the situation. Let's practice a few more of these switches. Informal. I'm going to grab a coffee. Formal. I am going to get a coffee. Informal. Can you help me out? Formal. Would you be able to assist me with this? Repeat both versions of these sentences after me and really try to notice the subtle difference in tone and formality. I'm going to grab a coffee. I am going to get a coffee. Can you help me out? Would you be able to assist me with this? Great. Another useful practice is active listening. This means showing the speaker that you are paying close attention through small verbal and nonverbal signals. In English, this could be using words like right, I see, exactly, or that's true. It can also involve asking short follow-up questions. These small signals encourage the speaker and keep the conversation alive. For example, if someone says, I've been feeling really stressed lately, instead of just staying silent, you might respond with, oh, I see. Is it mostly because of work? This shows empathy and invites them to share more. Let's practice this. I will give you a statement, and I want you to respond with an active listening phrase plus a short follow-up question. Here's the statement. I've been learning Spanish for the past 2 years. Your response could be, wow, that's great. What made you decide to start learning? This shows you're engaged and curious. Finally, I want you to remember that using advanced English is not about sounding artificial or like a robot. The goal is to sound natural but precise. Your language should feel effortless, not forced. That is why it is so important to practice in realistic scenarios. At work, in social conversations with friends, when asking for information at a shop, and even when telling stories to your family. The more you use these advanced patterns in your real life, the more they will become an automatic and natural part of your everyday speech. And every single time you choose a more precise phrase, or add a little more detail to your story, or link your ideas together more smoothly, you are taking another important step toward achieving true, confident fluency.